Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our great friends at Conway Furniture, East End of Listowel, Highway 86. Go see them for all your furniture needs. Yes, sir. Our great friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC, 1000 Wallace Avenue here in Listowel, and of course, the Listowel Squash Courts, which I've been lighting up lately with my friend Alan.
I made a return.
I saw that you made a return.
I'm back.
Yes.
I'm back.
Now, are you competing in the tournament or are you just playing some warm-up games? Like, what's the deal?
I am playing some warm-up games.
Yes.
I have told Alan, much to my chagrin, that I'm not going to compete in the box league until at least the new year.
That's probably a good call.
Definitely playing it smart and not pushing things. I went out the other day and hit the ball around with our buddy Josh Keel, and a couple other guys at the court. But it was a successful return, Ryan. Pain-free. My foot was not in pain whatsoever afterwards. The problem was I couldn't lift my shoulder.
Okay.
No,
that's good.
Fine. It's fine.
My only issue is that I'm just winded by the end of it because I'm not in good shape anymore. And, Alan,
that is an issue.
And I've yet to beat him. I almost beat him the other day.
Did you?
Which is an improvement. But I'm just bad. I'm bad at the sport. And
you can't just pick up a racket and think you're going to be good.
But that frustrates me.
I understand.
When I pick something up and I'm not good at it,
yep.
I hate the world and hate myself and want
to
quit. And
keep with it. Keep with it.
I am. We're playing.
And the other thing you should do
weekly.
The other thing you should do is we're doing clinics. We do clinics. You should come out and just take part in a clinic.
I might do that. I'm going to be pretty busy pretty soon here.
But it's a Tuesday night, for half an hour. I'm just saying.
We'll see. And that's the other thing. I don't do well with groups. I'm not a group guy. I like to just go in there with Alan, turn the music on. Alan and I have a nice chat while we play, and he beats me around the court, and it's a good time. I'm a lone wolf. I'm not group guy. That's not me. Group projects at school? No, thanks. I actually used to opt out of group projects. I would just do them myself.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm a weird guy, all right? I just I like my own company.
I didn't see that.
Hey.
I didn't say that. Anyway, Box League is starting up. If you're interested.
I'm a lone wolf, and you know who else is a lone wolf, Clarkey?
Oh, who?
Michael Babcock. Lone wolf. And my couch potato of the week last week, our inaugural Conway Furniture couch potato of the week, was the Columbus Blue Jackets, really as a whole.
Yeah,
but it was more pointedly at Jarmo Kekalainen, who also, I feel, should have resigned alongside Mike Babcock. But he did not. I think he will be fired before the end of the year because what a mistake this was.
Dude, here's the deal.
Culminating in one of the weirdest endings to a coaching. Can we even call it a coaching tag? He didn't coach anybody.
I think the reason he didn't take the fall is because John Davidson probably hired Mike Babcock. And sure, Jarmo was the front man and he was the general manager. But as we all know, in sports, things change. Things are changing. The team presidents are more than just presidents. And they have a general manager to do a lot of the paperwork. But let's be honest, Brendan Shanahan, John Davidson, the Jays, Ross Atkins and Shapiro. Shapiro makes most of the call. Let's be honest, that's the way it is. And Masai with the Raps. I just think that's probably why Jarmo still has his job, because JD probably was the guy who said, let's get Babcock.
I won't dispute that. But I really do feel that, probably all of them should be gone then. I mean, they've just cost their ownership a lot of unnecessary money.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the agreement was, but
I'm willing to bet that the agreement was resign, and we'll give you 30% or so of the total value of the deal. It was a 2-year, $8 million deal. I believe at $4 million per, not 8 like what he was getting in Toronto. I believe it was 2 times 4.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably walk away with 2.6, 2.7 million.
What a great gig.
Goodbye.
What a great gig he's got.
Yeah, for 2 months to sit there and then, show up for 3 days and look at guys' phones. Not bad. 2.7
KHL. KHL's next.
You know what? Because he's made so much money, I don't know that he necessarily will be a guy that has the appetite to go to the KHL. That said, the KHL is the league in the world that is tailor-made for a guy like him to go and succeed. Mike Keenan's still doing it down in China. Kunlun Red Star, Mikey Keenan, he's running the show.
Yeah.
And he was with another team before that. I think he's actually coached 2 or 3 KHL franchises, Iron Mike.
Yeah.
And the other, what are we calling Mike Babcock? He's not Iron Mike. He's, I don't know, cell phone Mike, BlackBerry Mike. He is a guy that could still survive and thrive even in, you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if in 2 or 3 years he's, behind the bench for SKA St. Petersburg or Metalurg or something like that. But
I'm telling you, we'll see.
Yeah.
He sat out a while and he said he was itching to get back. So I would think that he would still want to coach somewhere. And I would hope there's no way an NHL team will ever hire this guy again.
No, it's over now.
I would hope so.
It's got to be over now. And man, it's frustrating because the whole narrative around, and this isn't just the NHL, although they seem to be overtly guilty of it, but in sports is that they keep recycling dinosaurs, guys that clearly are showing that they don't have it anymore. When things end with Bill Belichick in New England, I fully do not expect him to be successful anywhere else if he chooses to continue coaching, which I don't think he will. They just keep recycling these guys, and there's good young coaches that are available in lower leagues that deserve a shot. And there's guys who are lifetime, assistant or associate coaches that deserve a shot. I can think of a guy that used to be in Columbus who they would probably rather have still be around at this time than Mike Babcock. I may or may not be related to him. I just think it's such a joke that, Mike Babcock was even in the conversation, especially after the Mitch Marner fiasco in Toronto. Why on earth would you want to bring that guy into a team in full-scale rebuild?
I get that.
With a bunch of kids.
I get that. Sometimes one thing can be a one-off and he learned his lesson and he won't do it again. But obviously he didn't, and he did it again. And, the head of the Players Association said, his players have the right to work in an environment that isn't abusive. And that's what it was.
Yeah. And props to Marty Walsh and Ron Hainsey and Ron Hainsey's familiar with this guy. Let's just be honest, and is still close with guys like Mitch Marner. He knows everything that happened. The thing with Babcock that's so confusing is that Toronto was supposed to be the end of the road because of his horrific reputation from years prior in Detroit.
Yeah.
We've already gone over all this, and Anaheim too. When he was with Hockey Canada doing the Olympic teams, he was on his best behavior. He had to be, because he literally had a superstar player at basically 100%. Every position on the roster. He couldn't be a complete knob end to those guys. You can't scream at Sidney Crosby that he didn't back check properly.
No.
You just can't. So of course he was on his best behavior, and Ken Hitchcock said, "Oh yeah, Mike's a good coach." Yeah, he is a good coach. There's no denying that. Do you think he'll get into the Hall of Fame? I don't. I think this guy is Barry Bonds level blacklisted for a different reason, of course. But I can't see this guy getting into the Hall.
No, I can't either. No, he's
no
done.
Shot.
Nope.
I completely agree. Anyway, like you said off the top, and again, we'll touch on our couch potato of the week, courtesy of our friends at Conway Furniture, later in the show. You mentioned obviously camps are opening up. It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
Guys are back out there on the ice, and interesting little nugget dropping from the Maple Leafs the other day that Wild Bill
Wee
Nye
Willie.
the wrist shot guy, is now Bill Nye the center guy. Interesting. Bill Nylander might be playing some center this year. I don't like it personally, and I think this lasts all of 2 shifts, but I could see it on. Here's where he could do it, Clarkey, and I'm interested in your thoughts. The power play, I could see that. Outside of that, look, fun player, talented player, has 40 goals in his hands if he wants to all day long. Maybe on a heater year, he could score 50. He's got a good enough shot to do it.
Yep.
Probably once. What do we say about this guy constantly? He is a terrible back checker. He's horrific defensively, and he backs off of checks all the time. You can't do that playing the middle of the ice. And, you look back on his numbers when he was doing this in the AHL, not very good face-off numbers. Generally, you'd like your centers to win those. I just can't see this being a long-term thing.
When I first heard it, Trent McClement and I at Larry Hudson's, Trent, the general manager of the Cyclones, we thought for sure what was happening was Tavares is going on the wing. But no, first day camp opens, Tavares is on the second line, and Willie's centering the third line with Domi and Yarncroc.
Interesting.
This is a big year for Willie, obviously, and the team. And I kind of think what you do, that this is a couple of shifts and it might not last. However, having said that, when Treliving came in, they wanted different perspective, and it sounded like maybe it was his idea. Talking to the coach, and Sheldon maybe agreed, and they're going to give it a shot. So we'll see how long it lasts. I would love to see it work, because then they'll have 3 strong lines, and then you have Camp centering the last line. But that left Tavares with Nyes and Lafferty today. Who knows how it's all going to shake out and where Robertson will fit in, if he does, and everything else. And then Bertuzzi with Marner and Matthews on the top line. So there's a lot as you know, when you start training camp, things are never the same at the end of training camp and at the beginning of the regular season. And they still have to make some moves to get under the cap. Like Nyes might not be on this roster come opening day, to save some money. So we'll see how it all shakes out and how it all goes. But I tend to agree with you. Willie's not the best. He'll have to do a lot more skating, playing center. And we'll see how low he drops down in his own zone to pick up, everything in front of the net. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I'm just leery of it. I don't really see this being a successful experiment.
The last, nothing's been successful so far, so maybe they're going to try something different and hope it works.
But he, maybe someone should, could send him, some video clips of his fellow countrymen, maybe get him some video of Nick Backstrom, take some notes down on how to play center. Well, but Nick though, Stanley Cup champion, and maybe just take some notes. Yeah, Nick Backstrom too, right? So I just think that
we'll see.
He, I don't know, man. I don't think much of it. You know what I do think a lot of though, and I think fairly highly of it, and I know you do too, Clarkey, and you're passionate about this. We know, and our viewers know because we tell them that the deals are always hot with our friends at Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us what's going on over there.
The deals are hot. They're hot again.
Piping hot.
They're hot again. And the greatest thing right now, not only we have our $7,000 demos still going, we're running out of them. So if you're interested, come on in. However, the other thing is SUVs are on the lot. We have and large SUVs, small SUVs. We got our first Buick in Vista this week. So that's a very brand new line. It's a crossover. It's sort of between a car and an SUV. Maybe Grandpa Bill might want to come see that one.
Don't tempt him.
But we have Encores on the lot. We have Enclaves on the lot. We have Terrains on the lot. Acadia's on the lot. The days of not having many vehicles is slowly coming to an end. And the inventory is building. We have Yukons. We have Yukon XLs. We have Yukon XL Denali Ultimate Diesel on the lot. These have been very sought after vehicles, and we got them right now at Larry Hudson's. If you don't have a sales rep, come see me. Come see me.
Clark.
Ask for Clarkey. If you have a sales rep, go see them. Get them when the deals are hot.
Get it while it's hot with our friends at Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC 1000 while it's hot. I'm never going to be able to not do this.
No, this is our thing now. This is
it's like it's
Hudson's has it,
ladies and gentlemen. Go see them. $7,000 off demo deals. All right.
You should voice the ads on the radio like that.
If they pay me for it, sure.
Yeah,
I could do
tough
some
for a news
voice
person.
work.
It's tough for news. Tough for a news person.
Yeah,
but you could be. We could make a name up for you. Herb Barlick.
Herb Barlick. You had to have that prepared. What was that, dude?
Well, it was Herb Barlick.
It's got to be something. It's got to be something like those old timey scribes. You know. Sure. It literally the guy that like Taylor Swift sued and left. Scooter Braun. My name's Scooter Braun. You want to be famous, don't you? So that's what it's got to be.
Not Kelsey.
It's got to be something. Yeah, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, as a side tidbit, and producer Adam, who we're going to get to in a minute, knows this, I should say, as a little nugget. He was almost my couch potato of the week in a positive sense. This dude's already the greatest tight end of all time, I think. And that pains me to say, because I'm a Patriots fan. Gronk, my boy.
Yeah.
Probably Super Bowl rings, couple of them. And now he's kicking back and he's hanging out with T Swift. I'm a Swiftie, and I support.
Are you?
I love Swiftie, not the country stuff. Okay. Everything from 1989, which she's about to release her version soon. Yep. I'm reading ads for Taylor Swift now, like she needs my help to market her.
She should sponsor the show.
It'll get Taylor Swift's Eras tour sponsoring it, instigated. Go see Taylor Swift right now at an arena near you, unless you can't get a Ticketmaster ticket.
All our new viewers up in Shelburne. As Whiteman's now in Shelburne, maybe she'll go and see them. Maybe she'll do a concert in Shelburne just for them.
Could you imagine randomly Taylor Swift's just busking on the corner of downtown Shelburne? I would go. All right. So before we get to
Barry Davis is coming up. We're going to be talking Blue Jays. Wow,
longtime Jays analyst. Hello. And Barry's a friend of the show. He's been on before. He's great. We have to address something here, very important, and it's to do with our producer Adam's birthday. It's
on
producer Adam's birthday.
It was Thursday.
Yes. So the day before this will originally air, but it doesn't matter. It's producer Adam's birthday as we record this right now. Happy 41st birthday.
There you go,
producer Adam. Okay. The guy behind the scenes, he makes us look really good, and he's the best, and it's his birthday, okay? So, producer Adam, let's give him some love. He deserves it. And apparently the Blue Jays deserve love once again.
And can I just say one other thing?
Yes.
I'm kind of slighted.
Okay.
What day is this show on? Fridays on Whiteman, and what other day?
And Sunday. You should know this. Okay.
Yeah. Do you know whose birthday's Sunday?
Yes, I know whose birthday it is.
Do you really?
Happy birthday, Mr. Clark.
Like people are watching this Sunday. We're wishing a guy from 4 days ago happy birthday. It's my birthday today.
4 days ago. Happy birthday, Clarkey, as well. My trusty cohort, my partner in crime.
Hey, we're gonna have a fun Friday night,
Christopher Clark.
We're going to have a fun Friday night too, eh?
Happy what? 53? 54?
Yeah, sure. You can go with that.
You're not 60, dude.
Shut up. No.
So what are we looking at here? 57.
Yeah, exactly. Heinz 57.
Actually, or like you just
no, seriously,
59 or something?
No, 57.
Okay.
57.
Good for you, man.
You lose track when you get this old, eh? You got to figure it out. You got to do the math.
You're not that old, dude. Come on.
Yeah, 57.
57, still delivering the heat, the hot heat here.
Still
on Instagram.
Top 10 squash player in Listowel.
Okay, that's enough. Barry Davis is coming.
Barry's coming up.
Barry's coming up next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture here in Listowel, Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Listowel, and the Listowel Squash Courts. Ryan Drury, Chris Clark back on here as promised. Friend of the show. I believe this is his second appearance. It could be his third. I'm losing count. Our buddy Barry Davis, longtime Jays analyst and Sportsnet personality. Barry, how are you, man?
Well, look at us. I'm sitting here fireside and on a beautiful night. Why would it? And it's now officially fall too. So things are great. Just enjoying this beautiful weather and enjoying this crazy ride to the postseason in Major League Baseball.
Barry, you got your Let's Go Blue Jays shirt on, I see. A lot of people a week ago were saying, let's go Blue Jays and take the Leafs with you, but things have turned around. Like it was doom wild? And gloom last week after losing 4 in a row to the Rangers, but a sweep in Boston, a couple of wins early in the Yankees series. They're in a playoff spot again. What's going on with this team?
It is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen with this team. Chris, you and I have been watching this team since its inception in 77. And because you are older than I am, I want to establish that to everybody.
It's my birthday Sunday, Barry.
Oh, there you go. Well, happy. I know it's the big one for you. So, but I've seen a lot of playoff runs. I've seen the Blue Jays, choke in the last week of the season, as you remember that weekend very well. And I've seen them make big runs. But to see this up and down, listen, I think in some ways it's exciting because this is what you want to see in a playoff race. But for fans, it's so infuriating. And, it's so much fun to go on social media just to see people jumping up and off on the bandwagon. And listen, I did the same thing a week ago. I said, I think they're done. I think they packed it in. They just don't look like they have that, intestinal fortitude to make the final push. And then they do what they do to the Red Sox. And the one thing that was blowing my mind is they were getting help, not from just one team, but 3 teams. It seemed every night they were losing, the Jays were winning. But again, it could all turn around in another couple of days as well.
And they have a tough schedule to close out, a lot of games with Tampa. But the good thing is Seattle and Texas are going to be going head to head. So the Jays are definitely going to get help because those other teams can't run the string. They can't run the table. So the schedule, I think, is in the Jays' favor here as we go down to the last week.
Listen, they're going to get help regardless.
Yeah.
What they have to do is win their games.
Yeah.
Right. And if they take care of, it's the same old thing, right? You take care of your own business, but they're in that spot right now because they are holding a playoff spot, right? If they run the table, they're in.
Yeah.
So it's up to the Blue Jays. And the one thing I will say, Chris, is if they do make the postseason, I think that the fact that they were chasing the spot right up to the end will be a good thing. I think when a team has such a huge lead and then they start resting some of their players, and I've seen it so many times, and then the playoffs start and they just fall flat because they just don't have that eye of the tiger that they have when they're fighting for that final spot.
Yeah, it's interesting and such a weird season on so many levels in the American League where, the Jays get swept by Texas, and then Texas lays a complete egg against Cleveland, including a brutal outing where they lost 12-0 to Lucas Giolito, who has had a wild up and down season himself. He's on his third team this year, and they lose to him in that sweep. Seattle gets swept, and then Houston lost 2 of 3 on their weekend series too. Like, you talk about getting your season handed right back to you on a platter. It is bizarre, Barry, but I do want to ask you, in your estimation, because the season is almost over as we record this. I believe as we record this, they've got 9 games left. I think 4 or 5 against Tampa, and then they'll finish against the Yankees. In your estimation, what is, and maybe it's down to an individual, what's the most frustrating aspect of this season so far for you?
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Me too.
Right. I mean, let's face it. This is his team. He's a guy that, is getting to that arbitration stage of his career. A guy that I'm sure the Jays would like to lock up, but he has looked absolutely lost for most of the season. Whether he has a game plan, whether he's, trying to do things on his own, I have no idea what's going on with him, but this is a rare opportunity. The Yankees and the Red Sox are not going to be at the bottom of the American League East next year. They'll both beef up, and this is the year. If you're going to make a run, you don't have to worry about those 2 teams. So it's very disappointing that Vladdy didn't step up and put this team on his shoulders. And I was hopeful that coming out of the All-Star break, after what he did in the home run derby, that would kind of propel him to get on a run, but it really didn't. And this is a guy that should have 40 to 50 home runs, 130, 140 ribbies. Just not the numbers that they need. He needed to have a career year, and he's definitely not.
What do you think? Okay, so right now you mentioned he's heading toward that ARB period. What do you think realistically on a long-term deal? I don't know what that looks like, 5 years plus. Generally, people would consider longer term. Realistically, like, what could he be expecting to earn? Because, I'm looking at a guy who's, if I was voting, would get National League MVP in Ronald Acuna Jr. And that guy signed a 10-year, $100 million deal. Like, how can Vlad go in there and be like, what? I want 8 years, 180, 150. Like, how can he go in there and do that, Barry? Like, what? It's so confusing because this guy was an MVP candidate a couple seasons ago. Now, and to be fair to him, like, he's having a year that would look great for most major league players. Like, lots of guys out there would love to have 24 home runs and 87 RBI, I believe, as we record this. Like, that's a really great year for 85% of the league, but not based on what we think he is and what he clearly thinks he is. Like, how do you even go about ballparking this if you're his agent and the Jays?
Well, I think it's still to be determined, because if the Blue Jays make the postseason and Vladdy goes on a tear and becomes ALCS MVP, World Series MVP, if something like that happens, and maybe starting from the final weekend of the season, then all of a sudden his value gets upped again because he stepped up at the most important time of the year. So I think if I'm Vladdy's agent, I'm just hoping that something along that line happens to him. If it doesn't, then I think he's lost himself millions of dollars in a potentially long-term deal. And it's crazy that we're even talking about this with the Toronto Blue Jays, because, as you guys know, through the entire time that Alex Anthopoulos and before that JP Ricciardi and all the GMs prior, I mean, this goes back to the Pat Gillick days and the Paul Beeston days, where you don't give long-term contracts to players. You don't see 8, 9, 10-year contracts, and now it's something that, if the Blue Jays are going to compete, they have to do that. They have to give these humongous contracts. And, I know that the agent will also pull the whole, let's base it on his entire career and not just one-off season, right? But I think he is what would you even say his career year was? Maybe 3 years ago? Last year certainly wasn't a career year for him.
Yeah. Well, it better be still ahead of him.
48
really
bomb year, playing mostly in Buffalo, mind you. I mean,
yeah.
Like if Ohtani didn't exist, Vlad would have been MVP 2 seasons ago. But yeah, it's so confusing. And I'm just disheartened. And I try not to get too far ahead of myself. I'm an emotional guy. I ride the highs and lows a little more than I probably should for my own mental well-being, Barry. But I'm trying to not get too upset or down on this guy because he's 24. I still believe that power's there, and he showed it recently with 3 straight games with a homer. He beat up on the Red Sox, and man, I don't know if you saw what Buck Martinez said the other day in that Texas series. I believe it was the final game, where he had that video breakdown of how he's not loading in time and he's leaning on that back foot. I thought that was such a brilliant analytical look at the difference in his swing. And for me, beyond Vlad, look, I know he's getting picked on a lot this year, but Guillermo Martinez, like I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is something you're supposed to be correcting as the hitting coach. I don't know, Barry, it's super, super upsetting to me because it bleeds into other guys hitting. George Springer, let's just be frank, he's been hot lately, has not had a very good season for $25 million on your return. Yes.
No, he had like an 0 for 30 something there. Right?
Yeah,
it was a career.
I think it was 0 for 28 or something.
It was ridiculous, right? And
Matt Chapman had a brilliant April, early May. Been an atrocious hitter since, and I love Chappie.
Before we move on to these other guys, I want to ask Barry about a little bit more about Vladdy and some of the things that bother me. And yes, he's only 24, but you know what? Here's the things that bother a guy who's having his 57th birthday on Sunday. Okay, here's the things. Okay, and yes, you're going to call me the grumpy old man here.
No,
the Gatorade shower has to stop. Like, give me a break. Like, it's okay once in a while, but it's every single game that they win at home. It's like, give me a break. Like, you can even see,
if they gave some of the players jacket back. If they got their home run jacket back, they could have the fun in the dugout, and they wouldn't have to do that.
Maybe,
right?
But it's like you can see the players.
Right?
You can see the players, especially with Merrifield. It's like, can you just like stop this? Like, you can see it. It's obvious. And like when he hits a home run, that's not good enough. When he hits a home run, he rounds second base and he does a stutter step. So everyone focuses on Vladdy again. And before he gets up, he writes something in the dirt. And am I grumpy?
I don't know if it's fair to criticize. That's just part of his process. Like,
what is
doing the dirt thing and like the little stutter step.
Give him that.
Everybody's doing that after home runs.
Is a show off of some magnitude.
Have you watched Jazz Chisholm?
What does he do? No, I haven't.
He does the Euro step right before he hits home plate. And
how many home runs does he have?
All the time. A lot.
Exactly. Not 24 probably.
No, and
so that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, can you just like, I don't know. I grew up in the days when I saw Joe Carter and John Olerud and Tony Fernandez hit home runs and Jesse Barfield and Lloyd Mosby. You know what they did when they hit a home run? They ran around the bases and they touched home plate. And you know what else they did, right? You know what else they did? You know what else they did? Barry, you remember this, right? Yeah. They won 2 World Series. That's what they did.
Yes, they did. They did do that,
right? And there was none of that crap going on.
Right, listen,
none of it. Zero.
Clarkey. Yeah, there was none of that crap going on with any of the teams back then, and now it's a different generation. We are the grumpy old men, Chris.
Well, I must be a grumpy old man.
This is not our game anymore. This is for the youth.
Not.
It's for the youngins, and the youngins want.
I guess.
Right?
Okay.
Listen, of all the things in baseball that have changed and have made me angry, I will say I do like what the pitch clock has done.
I do too, Barry. I do too. But my last thing with Vladdy, and you're
God,
you're the perfect guy to ask.
Okay.
Can we just get rid of the translator? This guy's been here long enough. I've seen him talking in English on ESPN. I've seen him speaking English on the All-Star game. But
he's done full sit-down interviews in English.
Exactly. So why does he need this translator after a game when he gets interviewed?
Because it's not his first language, Clarkey.
I get it, but you know what? There's a lot of people in the league that isn't their first language, and they're here 5, 6, 7 years, and they learn English, and it just bothers me. I don't know why.
I will say this.
It's just like
I will say this, guys. I had a nice chat with Jose Bautista years ago when he was with the Jays, and I was talking to him about, it's amazing. He barely have an accent. He goes, because I knew that when I started to become a leader, that it was important for me to communicate with everybody.
That's a great answer.
So he wanted to make that a priority for him, that he was not only able to read and write English, but to articulate it and be able to do interviews and be able to talk to teammates. And, he would gather with a group of the Spanish players and, just give them some pointers or whatever in the clubhouse. And then he can go over and speak to a bunch of the English speaking people and do the same thing. And that to me is what makes a great leader. And listen, as much as Vladdy has the talent to be the best player on this team and one of the best players in baseball, I don't see him as a guy that's a leader. I don't see him as someone that's going to, grab the guys on his back and become that kind of guy. I just don't think he's that type of person.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm still, because of his age, willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he could eventually become a little bit more like I certainly don't ever envision him being the guy in the clubhouse, but certainly a guy who does have the qualities to do the things that are necessary to help teams win consistently. I do think he can do that.
He can do that, but he doesn't always show that. He doesn't always hustle, right? No. He needs to have that focus, because I think the hustle, I don't necessarily think it's an effort thing. I think it's a focus thing. I think that they actually forget that they have to run. They forget that they have to make that extra effort.
They have to run. I love that.
It's
they forget.
Listen, hey, I want to talk about something positive about the Blue Jays, because we've
talked
about
take over the show, Barry. Take it over.
But we'll be right back.
No.
If there's one player on this team this year that I think has really made a step forward and said, don't forget about me, it's Cavan Biggio. And I knew that when they were going to eliminate the shift, that was going to be a huge advantage for Cavan, because I used to see him hit a lot of balls hard over the last few years, and every time right in the shift. But and you guys talk about Buck Martinez. I tell you, Buck maybe should apply for the hitting coach job, because he may not have been the greatest hitter, but he knows how to hit and he knows how to explain it. And but what he was saying about Cavan Biggio is he was just staying a little bit back, right? Just that half second back. And again, that's a fraction of time, right? So he's not all over the ball, right? And look how many hits the other day. He throws 2 over the shortstop's head going the other way. And if he continues to do that, he could be a pretty decent hitter on this team. And he always looks good at the plate. And that's always the weird thing. He just looks like someone who's a great hitter. And then, here he was hitting 204, 205, whatever. Over the last, maybe 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, this guy's he's a 300 hitter, which is really, really impressive.
And Barry, not only that, this guy's playing everywhere. There's nowhere except catcher and pitcher. There's nowhere this guy probably couldn't play.
I'm struggling
first,
to think,
short, third. He can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Any outfield.
I'm struggling to think of a guy in the majors who's as versatile as him.
Yeah,
defensively.
And I know there will be people out there that saying, "Hey, come on, it's a small sample size. Look how excited everybody was getting of Zeke. What's his name? That was playing." This is my old man brain. He was an all-star for the Jays last year, second baseman, shortstop.
Espinal.
Yeah, Espinal, right. Oh, yeah, this guy's going to be a 300 hitter. but then you see that he fades away. And that's what most utility players do. They'll have spurts of great stuff, and then but I don't think that's the case with Cavan. I mean, remember, can't forget the pedigree, right? I mean, we all know what a great hitter his dad was, a Hall of Famer, and he's just got that baseball brain. And he's got a great eye at the plate. He takes a lot of pitches. He walks a lot. He runs the bases well. He's just a very smart ball player. And I think that this is a guy that I'm glad they didn't give up on, because I think his best days are ahead. A lot of people had. A lot of people had. And, you know, good for the Jays organization for sticking with the guy.
So you mentioned him, and there's no doubt he's probably one of the comeback players of the year for the Jays. But there's another guy who, in my mind, is like, I'm flabbergasted at how well this guy is playing this year compared to last year. And I want to ask you about this guy, because you had a good friend on the team when you were around the team. And Yusei Kikuchi this year has turned things around so much. And you know, you had Mooney Kawasaki there when you were there, and it seemed like he was such a fun guy to be around. And then we find out, like, we don't hear a lot, you know, from Kikuchi, but this week we find out, and Ryan, this is a perfect time for our Conway Furniture Couch Potato of the Week.
Okay.
Because we find out that Yusei Kikuchi sleeps 14 hours a night, because he had a stiff neck, and he's mentioned to the media after the game that he sleeps 14 hours and he only got 13 hours that night.
Go 11. He only got 11.
But wait. The next day, they let the cat out of the bag, and they tell us that he was just kidding. And everyone, like, I believed it when I heard it. I absolutely believed it. I'm like,
well, he sounded serious.
He did. He sounded serious. And
now, did he say it in English? Did he do the interview?
I don't think so, and I don't blame this guy for not doing it, because he only
maybe the interpreter was just screwing with everybody.
Maybe it was the interpreter,
or maybe it was just a bad interpreter. It's like
this guy. Like last year, I could not understand why this guy was on the team. Like he was a fireball every time he got out there, but now he's on fire, and I loved what just happened with him, and that's why, Ryan, he is my couch potato of the week, because I thought he slept on the couch for 14 hours a night, but I find out he didn't.
I love it. I think it's great.
I do have to correct you, Clarkey. He didn't say he had 13. He ended up getting 11.
Oh, 11.
So,
okay. Instead of the normal 13 or 14. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's hard. Really how hard it is to go through your day when only you have 11 hours sleep, right? So
exactly.
But if it was in fact him goofing on the media, then I love this guy even more now.
Exactly.
I think that's hilarious that
because Mooney did it with you all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh hey, can we get back to negativity for 1 second?
We can absolutely go negative. We love going negative here sometimes.
We do.
We can go negative, please.
It's called instigating.
Okay.
Yes.
And Clarkey, I think you and I probably talked about this on the phone early in the week. But so a few months back, the Blue Jays make a very tough decision to send down a guy who was their ace last year.
Yeah.
I think he led the American League ERA. Alek Manoah was their opening day starter, and he was absolutely horrific this year. So they make the decision to bring him down, all the way down to A-ball. Okay? Great move. They did it with Roy Halladay, rediscovered him. When they decided to bring him back as early as they did, I think I may have said something to you, Chris, because somebody has to have remembered me saying it. They're going to mess this up. You know, this could end up ruining this guy's career, because if you bring him back too soon and he blows up again, you have no idea what's going to happen. Look, I understand that they're talking about he's had to take these injections in his arm and he's been, you know, not healthy. I don't buy it. Honestly, I don't buy it. I think there's a lot more to it than that. And I still think that the way they handled him, and I see both sides. Listen, you're a Major League Baseball player. You're getting paid millions of dollars. You do what the bosses tell you. You don't pull that stuff. You know, if I'm not going to report, whatever the case may be. But on the other side of the coin, I can also see how pissed off he is, because they did not handle it well. So many people on the outside saw when they brought him back and so you don't bring the guy back unless you know he's going to be back for good. When Roy Halladay came back, there was no doubt that he was going to be what everyone expected him to be. He comes back after some bad outings in A-ball.
In A-ball, yeah.
In A-ball, where he was getting hit. And then I think he had one start in AAA, and it was okay, right? And then comes back, and he's not much better. And that.
So what do you think went down? What do you think went down?
I don't know. I have a feeling, and again, I'm not basing this on anything. I just think that when they decided to send him back down again, I think that between him and his agents, they were really pissed off about it. And I think that Alek probably just said, I'm not reporting. And yeah, maybe he did have some arm problems as well. Maybe he didn't want to take any risks on making his injury worse and use that as a reason to get out of going down. But like I said, I see both sides. I'd be pretty upset if I was Alek too, because, and it's not like he's going to say, no, guys, don't bring me back up to the majors yet, right? Why wouldn't you want to get, the competitor in him's going to take it, even though somewhere deep inside he's probably thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is a good idea. What have I proven to get back? But hey, and
how many guys? Go ahead.
I was going to say that should have been enough motivation for him to go out and pitch his ass off when he came back, right?
But how many guys? How many guys, though? This is what I don't understand. How many guys, when they struggle, get sent to A-ball? I didn't understand that from the get-go.
Well, keep in mind they sent him to the floor. They sent him to the Florida complex. First.
Whatever. But like,
you see,
how often does that happen?
Well, Roy Halladay, as we mentioned, right? And they also did it to Ricky Romero, but at that point, Ricky was at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Right. But so it doesn't happen very often. Maybe someone put it into the heads of Shapiro and Atkins, because I'm sure they had no idea. Because why would they have any idea about anything that happens in this country? They probably had no idea. So somebody probably tipped them off and said, hey, you remember Roy Halladay? And they're like, and Shapiro's like, oh yeah, great Philadelphia Phillies pitcher for all those years, right?
Yeah.
No, he also pitched for the Blue Jays, by the way. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but
did he play in Cleveland?
Yeah, but I don't know. It was a strange coincidence, because the last time I remember that happening in a similar situation was with Doc. But the difference is, Halladay had Mel Queen, who literally rebuilt him, turned him into a completely different pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they have anyone like that to work with Alek. And if they did, and again,
do you think
you don't send someone down to A-ball and send him down for just a 2-week, 3-week span and then bring him back. That's a long-term project, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. Is Pete Walker well respected with those pitchers?
Yeah. Oh no. Every pitcher that I've ever spoken to that has had Pete Walker as a pitching coach absolutely love the guy. Yeah, I don't think there's any issues with Pete on this one.
Look at the results on the field. They've arguably the best staff.
They do.
Yeah.
They absolutely do.
Yeah. I don't want to body shame any player or any person. But as an athlete, he needs to be better conditioned.
Yeah, but he was the same last year. What's the difference? The pitch count? The pitch clock?
I don't know. And that's
I think it affected
too,
him,
right?
Well, maybe, right. but did it make him like one of the best to one of the worst? Like, that's it. That's an extreme.
If the pitch clock has done that to him, he doesn't have the mental psyche to be an ace in the major leagues, right? That's one thing I remember Pete Walker having this conversation with him years ago when Aaron Sanchez was in the minors and they were on the verge of bringing him up. And, there were so many people saying, oh, no, don't rush him. He's not ready yet. What if he comes up and things don't go well and he gets hit hard? And then what happens?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Pete about that. He goes, if that happens, then he was never going to be the guy they hoped he was going to be. Right. And that's what makes somebody, that top tier of a pitcher that, when an opportunity comes and you do get hit hard, it doesn't send you down. You're able to bounce back and do what you got to do. And That's something that, I'm not seeing with Alek Manoah. But it's funny because he does have he feels pretty high on himself, right? He has a big ego and he likes to flaunt things out on the mound. But and I'm fine with that if you're producing, right? But I mean, I think it's going to be a long, long time before he can pull any of that on the mound again.
Did you notice Alex Anthopoulos won another pennant?
I agree.
What do you know, huh? And Chris, you and I knew him very well personally as well. And what I loved about Alex was just how engaging he was with the fan base, right? And being a Canadian and being such a humble guy, and he's just like, he could be just some nerd working at Blockbuster Video, right? Like he's just such a humble guy. And I always knew that he was going to do well. And, since he's left, he's just gone to the postseason year after year after year. And
too bad your last name. Too bad your last name isn't Rogers. Maybe he'd still be here.
Yeah, you never know.
But I tell you what, another thing Alex has done is he has remembered the people that have been good to him and loyal employees over the years, because he's brought back, strength and conditioning coach, team trainers, not to mention guys like Michael Saunders and Devin Travis, who are in the organization, as minor league coaches and stuff. So, he brought Jose Bautista, was it Bautista or Donaldson? He brought Donaldson in to give him a shot. So, I mean, he's a guy that is so good to the people that have worked with him. And
he was here. We had him.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm not going to say that Shapiro and Atkins have done a horrific job building this team, because I think we all at the beginning of the season thought this was a team that could potentially win a World Series on paper, right? Mm-hmm. So, we weren't complaining about the team they built then. So I think this is just a matter of players not playing to their potentials or above, right? If you're going to win a World Series, you need your star players to not have average years. You need them to have career years. And other than Bo Bichette, who we haven't even mentioned tonight, and what a turnaround he's made defensively more than anything. But other than Bo Bichette, I mean, okay, maybe Whit Merrifield has had a career year, but he's not one of your top guys, right? You needed Springer, you needed Chapman, these, and of course Vladdy, and Kirk after the year he had last year, right? He's been a disappointment this year, and unfortunately, Danny Jansen was another guy having a career year, and they've lost him for long term. So, it's a baffling Moreno. Team. Yeah, yes.
Got rid of him.
Yes. And how about the year that Gurriel's having this year?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty up and down, but it's been better.
25 homers from Teoscar would look good too.
So
anyway,
yeah.
Hernandez too. Well, they should have brought him back at the deadline. But they didn't. So
yeah.
The great Charles Oakley once said, "If it ain't broke, don't break it."
Yeah. There's credence.
This team has been very frustrating to watch, but you know what? As it stands right now, they're in a playoff spot, and who knows what'll happen. I don't see this team like a 92, 93 team, not even a team that went, against Texas where Barry Davis was jumping up in the box, or as Bautista hit a home run. I don't see it.
It was real quick though.
Yeah, it was like, oh shoot, I'm working.
Well,
it's like,
we'll see.
God. Hopefully nobody saw that.
I'm working. Yeah.
Don't worry, nobody saw that. It's all
good. Yeah. Well, exactly. they've got a big stretch of games coming up here. Obviously 3 in Tampa, 3 more in at home to New York, and they end the season at home against Tampa. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Barry, it was great to have you on the show again, brother. It was so good to see you, and I'm glad you're well. And man, I just hope they get in, for God's sake. We deserve this after the year we've been put through.
I know. And Clarkey, just I've told the members of my '80s tribute band, the Idiots, that
okay, you do. I know where
we're going to do. I think we're going to do all night long. Because it's dancey, right? It gets people going, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So tell us where you're going to be. He's a singer, man. You should have seen when I first met Barry Davis. He had hair
I'm aware
down his back, didn't he?
I did.
Didn't you?
Yeah,
he had long hair. I mean, we go back 30 something years probably. But your band's playing Collingwood this weekend?
Yes, at a place called the Marsh Theater. That's my Tom Petty tribute. We Ain't Petty. We're playing there. And then mark this date down, November the 11th in Brampton at a place called Spot One. The Idiots are going to be performing all your favorite, dancey rock songs from the 80s. And opening up for them will be my other band, Driven, a tribute to the Cars. So that will be a fun night. November 11th, Saturday night in Brampton. Chris, I will get you an Uber so you can come. There you go.
Marking it down right now.
Rock and roll. There you go. Who's going to drive you home? Barry Davis is. There you go. I love it.
Drive you home?
Yes, sir. One of the greatest songs of all time. And one of the greatest guests of all time, Barry Davis, on the show with us here. Thanks for doing this, bud.
Boys, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, BD19.
Right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I got to reveal my couch potato of the week, and we'll do that right after this. Wrapping things up this week on Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Thanks to our buddy Barry Davis. Make sure you follow him on social media. Follow his bands too. We Ain't Petty, especially. I love Tom Petty.
Yeah, we go back.
Obviously,
we go back a long way, Barry and I. We really
do.
Barry was an operator. Really he opt the board at the Fan back in the early 90s, and that's when we first met. So yeah, we go back a long way.
He's a beauty.
Good boy.
And we appreciate, again, our great sponsors, our friends at Conway Furniture, our friends at Larry Hudson's, our friends at Listowel Squash Courts.
Speaking of which, you know what's hot?
What's that?
We have not got your couch potato of the week. We got mine. Right, yeah. You say Kikuchi, but we need yours. We need yours.
And I'm going to go positive.
Potato.
I'm going to go with a positive couch potato. And producer Adam, I told him about this ahead of time. It is Phoenix Suns owner, Matt Ishbia. This guy is a hero. Phoenix Suns owner, Matt Ishbia, this courtesy of Joe Pompliano on Twitter, has announced earlier this year that the team would remove its games from cable by making the games free to watch on local channels. Roughly 2 million more people can watch Suns games. This is a direct quote from Ishbia. We're not focusing on money. We're focusing on winning, success, and taking care of our fans. But now, Matt Ishbia is taking it a step further. The Suns are giving away free indoor TV antennas to any fans who don't already have a pay TV subscription. You go to the team website and fill out a form, and they will ship it to your house free of charge. This guy is a beauty, and he is helping. And Matt Ishbia, to be fair here, is not really my couch potato. He's helping millions of
couch
what do
potatoes.
You call people from Phoenix? Phoenicians? Phoenixians? I don't know, dude. Phoenicians become couch potatoes.
That's fine.
He's helping a lot of Arizonans become couch potatoes. And sure, and that is deserving of a couch potato of the week en masse in Arizona. Matt Ishbia, thumbs up. We love it, dude. I love this guy. That's fantastic.
All those people in Arizona should come up and get their couches at Conway Furniture, where the prices you see include HST and delivery. Oh, I don't know about delivery. That might be a little long, far.
To Arizona? But hey, you want to take a nice, beautiful trip up to Canada? Fall colors right now. Drive up here, Arizona. We got a beautiful, beautiful trees right now, and you can go right to the Conway Furniture showroom.
Local delivery
on Highway 86. Yes, local delivery, and the prices on everything you see in there. Beautiful couches, lazy boys, whatever you want to be a couch potato yourself, which is a good thing with our friends at Conway Furniture. The price you see is what you pay, HST delivery fee included. We thank them, our good friends at Conway Furniture. We thank our friends, obviously, at Larry Hudson's once again, and the Listowel Squash Courts. You can watch this show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV, Channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod, and be sure to check us out on all your favorite podcast apps as well. Happy birthday, producer Adam. Happy birthday, Clarkey.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's my birthday. Week. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's good. It's your birthday maybe when people are watching this. We will be back next week with more Instigating.